installment of creating Coziness. I'm here with my boy Keyshawn Lighty. So started off, you feel me, tell the people, what you do and your whole background and everything.
Um, I'm a 21-year-old biological engineering student at North Carolina A&T with a minor in history. Um, what do I do? I
What
got.
do you, my bad for cutting you off,
Are you good?
but what are you inspired to do?
I want to take crops, like stuff that grows from the ground, and turn it into like everyday materials. So oils, plastics, building materials, all that type of stuff.
Okay. So I know you do stuff with hemp and CBD and you do a lot of research in that department. So tell us a little bit more about, what you've learned in that field.
When it comes to the hemp, like, a lot of the stuff that we use today, it's like there's always some type of side effect or it hurts the environment in some way. So like traditional cotton, it soaks up the soil, it hurts the ground. It takes like a whole lot of pesticides and stuff to grow it. And then so the alternative is hemp. And hemp, it doesn't need any fertilizers. It's a natural fertilizer to the ground. It's like a pollutant for the air. It's a filter. It has 25,000 different byproducts. What else? I mean, you can use it for plastics, for hempcrete, building houses. Hempcrete is actually fireproof. And it's an air filter. So when it's hot outside, it'll keep you cool. When it's cold outside, it'll keep you warm. The plastic is biodegradable, so you can just throw it out and it would break down naturally. You can make socks out of it, t-shirts, clothing. One of the cool things I found out about hemp and the history of it in the Carolinas and North Carolina, there were people called the Tuscarora Native Americans, and Tuscarora actually means hemp gatherers. And they saw the hemp seed as something that was given to them by the Creator once they fell from grace, and they use it for everything. So you can put it in your field along with like tomatoes, squashes, and stuff like that. That's a biodiverse environment. So all these different crops are working together to keep the soil healthy, and the hemp, helps the soil stay healthy as well. So it's just something that has a whole bunch of different benefits from it.
So when it comes to hemp and its benefits, how are you trying to take that and implement it into your everyday life and help it, help you and other people progress in life using it?
Some cool things about hemp is a lot of people know about CBD, and we have CBD receptors in our body. We actually have two cannabis receptors in our body, one for like the psychedelics and then one for just like medicinal purposes. So if you take some cannabis CBD oil or some hemp oil and you ingest it or something like that, there's different compounds and different chemicals that work for different things in the body. So your body will use whatever it needs once it receives that CBD, that THC oil or whatever. So some of the things I'm trying to do, like I said, with the clothing, making homes and houses and buildings out of it, and also making clothing out of it. I also want to sell like THC oil and CBD oil and hemp oil. Those are all different things. They have different components. The hemp oil comes from the seed, and the CBD oil comes from like the bud once you grind it up. And the difference between CBD and THC is the CBD doesn't get you high, and so it's the difference between a marijuana plant and a hemp plant is a marijuana plant has more THC in it, and then the hemp plant doesn't have more than 0.3% THC in it, so it can't get you high when you use it. So I just want to use those medicinal purposes of it, and also use it like for the materials purpose. Something that's better for the environment, and it's a medicine that doesn't give you a whole bunch of side effects like a bunch of these pharmaceutical drugs now today. because more problems seem to come from the people taking medicine than helping.
So, when in your journey did you feel um, come into the information about hemp? When did you really start taking it serious, and when did you start looking at it as like, okay, this could be something that could really help me in the long run?
It's kind of funny because I saw a video on YouTube, not YouTube, Instagram, to talk about how hemp plastic was biodegradable and all that stuff. I saw that like my senior year of high school, and I just never really thought about it again. And then it was like uh, last summer, I got like an epiphany when I went home. It was like you're here to plant seeds, like mental seeds and physical seeds. And so I've always been interested in growing crops and whatnot. But then we had an assignment. I was industrial engineering at the time. We had an assignment, and it was about the processing of plastic. So it was an engineering processing and design class. So we were supposed to study how plastic goes from its natural form into what we use it as today. And I found out that we use crude oil, so that fracking and stuff like that hurts the environment, oil spills, it leads to earthquakes and all that stuff. Learned about that, and then they turned the crude oil into plastic, petroleum oil and all that stuff. And I was like, there's an alternative to that. That's something, and that's hemp, and you can grow it in 3 or 4 months. Like right now at A&T, I'm an undergrad research student there, and we're growing hemp, but we're growing it for the CBD, not the fiber. But it grows in 3 or 4 months. It gets really tall, like 5 to 6 feet tall for the CBD, and for the fiber, it's like 10 to 14 feet tall. It only takes 3 or 4 months, so you can use paper for that in a short amount of time, rather than digging into the ground and getting all this oil that's actually hurting the environment.
Word. So, other than hemp and that field of study, what are other things that you partake in and that you take pride in that really help you become the person that you are today?
That other thing is like history. Like I said, I'm minor in history. It's called Negro history at A&T, but really it's just the history, because we're all humans, and all our history intertwines with each other. So that's something that I study. Like that's really my passion, and then this whole hemp stuff is kind of like the side hustle. This is my skill that I'm gonna use to make the platform to spread my passion. You feel me? So yeah, studying history, knowing who we are as a people, is something that has had a huge impact on me. I One of the things that came to me when I started really studying history was like, if you don't know where you came from, then you won't know where you need to go. So, I just feel like us as a people in America, like quote unquote black people, we're lost. So, like looking at our history has been something that has changed me tremendously. Gave me a sense of purpose.
Is that what inspired you to make the Roots of Empowerment page?
Yeah, it's just like I've always been into nature, like OD. So seeing the connections between nature and humanity is like something that's big to me. So, a plant needs its roots, and if it doesn't have its roots, then it can't grow. And if we don't know our history, which is our roots, then we can't grow as a people. We can't come together. So that's one of the things that's holding us back. But yeah, the Roots of Empowerment page, the podcast, the Seeds for Thought, that's all because of my look at nature and combining it with like human, us living hand in hand together.
So, what point in your life did you feel, did you come to that point where you really came to terms with nature and Black history, and starting to put all the pieces together as far as like how you want to shape your life overall, and become the man that you aspire to be?
This all happened like last summer. I was like in a stage in my life where I was like in isolation, because like our freshman year of college, like after that, my parents kind of told me I was on my own type stuff, and that inspired. Well, like I had to go get my job. I started working at UPS, became a supervisor, all this stuff, making good money. But then I realized that's not, like, I wasn't happy there. I was going to be caught up in something that wasn't going to be, like, driving me. So then I stopped with that, went back to school, started focusing summer classes, and I was isolated in Spring Place in my old apartment. And then I just started reading books over the summer because nobody else was here, like none of the homies. So I was just reading books over the summer. I read like 5, 6 books last summer, like history books, and that's really what like showed me that I was like, when I was at UPS, that showed me that I wanted to start a company. I didn't want to be working for somebody else my whole entire life because at UPS, I became a supervisor and all that stuff. But I started out at the bottom as an unloader, then became a supervisor. But then I saw that like I had a supervisor, and then my supervisor had a supervisor, and then they had a boss, they had a boss. So I was like, that's not the way to go. I'm trying to run the operation rather than like be a part of the operation, just be a little piece. So that's really last year is when I got my whole epiphany on what my whole purpose is and all that stuff.
All right, so now that you feel like you found your purpose, what is your ultimate goal in life beyond just, the business goals and whatnot?
My ultimate goal in life is just like to make my people aware of who they are, honestly, because where our history was stripped away from us for a reason, and like they don't want everybody to know who we are as a people. That's my whole goal, honestly. That's like I said, history is my passion, and the business thing is like a side thing that is the business is gonna build my platform, and while I still push my passion at the same time. That's really my end goal.
Well, any last words that you want to, give the people? Any last remarks?
Not really. Just y'all strive to be better than what everybody else is doing. Don't be in the box. Go outside of the box, because the system is the box, so they want you inside the box. Because once you get outside the box, that's when you start seeing the world completely different. Don't be afraid to question anything. That's another big one. But because once you start questioning stuff, that's when you start understanding a lot of the things that were hidden from us, or people just didn't want you to know. So don't be bonded by this system and this matrix. That's my big thing.
Or is there any like social media platforms or?
Yeah. Check out my podcast. It's called Seeds for Thought. It's on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music. Follow me on Instagram. I am .1ke. Follow me on Twitter. I am 1ke. So, but that's it. Y'all stay up. Y'all stay blessed.
It was nice talking to you, bro.
Appreciate you.